That's when the world starts rewarding you because you've made that decision that this is yours. That's when you start getting it. Because again, humans, we get what we must have. We don't get what we want. 18 months worth of someone paying me month in and month out. And because I didn't level up, I avoided what the business was telling me it needed. I lost someone who could have been with me for a long, long time. 18 months, guys. I lost a client because I refused to pick up a 5-minute phone call. Because if you blame external circumstances for your lack of results, you'll never succeed. That taught me one of the biggest lessons that I still apply today, which is.
So guys, we did like 2 weeks ago, we did a masterclass on what it takes to be a 7-figure human being and really talking about mindset. And it kind of inspired me to bring Sergio back because the very first one we actually did it together and people really loved it. And I thought it'd be really, really powerful for both of us to be here. So drop a 1 in the chat for Sergio. He's taking the time out of his day to be here again. But before we do that, we wanted to add some value today and talk about what it takes to be a 7-figure human being. So one of the biggest differences between people that are regular human beings, and this is continuing on last week, and 7-figure human beings, that regular human beings see fires, client issues, they see bad experiences as stressors. So anytime we all have had the client that calls us and gets upset. We have all had the client that wants to quit or leave. We've all had those months where things aren't clicking. And what do we mostly do? We tend to see those things as a massive stress. And instead of leaning in, we pull away, we pull back. Instead of leaning into the discomfort, we pull away. On the flip side, 7-figure human beings see all of these challenges as opportunities. So anytime there's a client fired, instead of being like, oh my God, my life is over, it's like, what can I learn from this? How can I use this as an opportunity for growth? If a client wants to quit, instead of seeing this as, oh my God, my life is over, everything is falling apart, how can you see this as an opportunity to learn about why they left and grow? Instead of being stressed out because your team member left and now you have to do account management, it's like, how can I take this opportunity and use it as a learning lesson? So regular human beings see chaos as stressors. It weighs them down. And 7-figure human beings also see these things as stressors. However, they put a little twist on it. They see them as opportunities for growth. They ask themselves, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And most importantly, they see the business as this real life thing that's speaking back to them and always telling you how to get better, how to get better. And it's almost like our business knows how to improve more than we do. We just don't listen to it. And every time it's actually trying to speak to us, we get stressed out and we get distant. So a client calls us to complain. Instead of listening and leaning in, we back away and we see it as a stress. But in reality, the business is just speaking to you and telling you exactly what you need to improve on to get to the next level. It's giving you the keys to growth. It's giving you the keys to get to the next level. So Sergio, can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, I want to share real quick. And then I also want to give a live example of a conversation I had with someone here yesterday, actually. But by show of hands, and let's be real, all right, guys? Be real, because you're only lying to yourself. Show of hands, how many of you, and me included, by the way, so I'm no different, but how many of us get a client phone call and we know the client's kind of pissed or they're not happy about the result, and we get this like gut-wrenching feeling of like anxiety. It's like, I don't know if I want to answer the phone. I don't know if it's like, I see you guys laughing. It's like one of the biggest, especially for like you guys in the community where, you always want to do right by the client. Right? It's like, we're not here to just scam people and take people's money. We genuinely want to deliver a good service, a good product, and help them win. And I don't know about you guys, but I used to and I deal with stress pretty well, but I would see my clients call me. I'm like, man, do I want to answer this call? Should I avoid it? Etc. And to Joel's point, I think it was like a Thursday afternoon, and there was this guy I was working with, or he had been with me for a year and a half. He was one of my very first clients, guys. And I refused to answer his call. And he sends me an email. I actually still have the email. I should probably find it and show it. I'll drop it in the group. I haven't said anything, Naomi. What is so funny?
You said you still have the email. That's funny. A little bit.
I still have the email because immediately after me ignoring his call, this is a guy who's been with me for 18 months, guys. Immediately after me ignoring his call, because I just didn't want to deal with the issue at the moment, he sends me an email and tells me he wants to cancel. 18 months worth of someone paying me month in and month out. And because I didn't level up, I avoided what the business was telling me it needed, what a specific client was telling me it needed. I lost someone who could have been with me for a long, long time. 18 months, guys. I lost a client because I refused to pick up a 5-minute phone call. After that moment, I made a decision. I said, I'm no longer going to avoid conflict. And the reason I knew he was in a call because like we didn't meet his guarantees. It was like an issue. It was like a lot of back and forth stuff. So I knew it was going to be a difficult conversation. I avoided it. And in retrospect, that taught me one of the biggest lessons that I still apply today, which is confront the issues that the business is presenting you, both from a business standpoint, that what the business needs to grow, but also as you and the individual. You as the individual, which is the most important thing. So moving forward, now I call clients before they call me if it's an issue. I want to personally reach out because again, I missed out on an amazing client, and I'll tie into a story. So I was speaking to Amin yesterday, and I saw you raise your hand like a lot of the other people here. And guys, you guys know Amin came in the program, he crushed it, just implementing some of our stuff, and then the natural ebbs and flows of business creep in. Chapter 2 of his open book that he's going to write in about 3 years. Chapter 2, we talked about the fact that he lost his closer a couple weeks ago, maybe like a month ago or so. And so he essentially has to start from scratch. He has to start from scratch. And instead of him saying, damn, the closer sucked, my offer was trash, like the team was the issue, the client suck, the industry sucks, the niche is a problem. Instead of him, and I know those thoughts creep up always, guys. No one here is perfect. Like all those, like Joel has those thoughts, I have those thoughts. It always creeps up. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, right? What I'm saying is it's also a moment to look within. And Amin, yesterday we were having a conversation around like sales leadership. This is like the second time we talked about it in the last month or so. And the fact that he needed to level up as a human being to be able to manage someone as important in his company as a closer, as a sales team member. And it was the business in the most beautiful way, speaking to him as to what he needs to be and what he needs to level up in as a leader and as an individual. So think about that for a second. That's the type of DNA, that's the type of mentality you guys have to have. Instead of Amin saying, well, the closer was the issue, he actually gave flowers to the closer. He said the closer was not the problem. It was my leadership skills around the situation that caused the problem. And it's that sort of mentality that's going to cause him to win. Because if you blame external circumstances for your lack of results, you'll never succeed because you can't control the external circumstances, but you can control you. And so I've adopted this mindset that I want to invite you guys to adopt to it, even if it's not my fault. And I'm gonna repeat that. Even if it's not my fault, I just assume it is. Because if I take control, if I just say, hey, if I say it's my fault, independent of whether it is or not, if I say it's my fault, I now put the power back in my hands. I can go and solve it. Whereas if I blame someone else, even if it is their fault, I've relinquished control. And your job, your responsibility as the owner of the company is to always have control in one way, shape, or form or another. You have to be in control. And so take responsibility, take ownership. Don't blame anyone else. Don't blame external, don't blame, even if it is someone else's fault. It doesn't matter what your baby mama did, guys. It doesn't matter what your best friend when you were 14 years old did. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your parents did. Look at that as a blessing. Every single thing in my life that I have found to be a hardship in retrospect has always been a blessing. And I guarantee if you have the right perspective on it, it's the same thing for you guys. But you have to take that perspective and it gives the power back into your hands.
This is why I wanted Sergio on this call. It's just, he brings that Sergio-ness. So thank you for being here, man. Why are you laughing at me now?
Because the baby mama joke was funny. The baby mama joke is funny, but it's true. It's true. It's
you know who says I'm not funny, but they laugh at all my jokes. Sergio laughs at all my jokes. I laugh at all jokes. It's not funny. Pretty much all the jokes I laugh at. Let's see. Let's talk about another one that I had that I think is really important for everyone here. I think regular human beings, when they're starting out, they focus so much on defense. And one of the philosophies that I hold true to my heart: fuck your defense. Fuck your defense. You have to go on offense. I think a lot of people are afraid to shoot the ball. They're afraid to score. But ultimately, even if you have the best defense in the world, you still have to score points if you want to win the game. And what's interesting is that I'm not telling you that defense doesn't matter. Defense matters and you have to have it. But most people are already doing that naturally, whether I told them to do it or not. If a client is upset with you, you're going to feel the pressure and anxiety to want to make things right, even if I'm not here telling you. However, you might not feel that same pressure to go out and shoot the ball and score and get a new client unless I put that pressure on. This is why I believe that we are better at coaching than most other people, because other people coach based on tactics or strategies, which we also give you, but we also coach based on performance and knowing what you guys need to hear to actually take the action. And one of the biggest differences between 7 figures and below is people at 7 figures, even when there's client issues, even when there's fires, they don't stop selling. They don't stop trying to score. You have to keep trying to score. You could have the best defense in the world, but if you still didn't shoot the ball one time, you're going to lose, because it is inevitable that you will have the other team score at least once. Even if you have the best defense in the world, they're going to score at least once. But if you never take a shot, it's guaranteed to lose. So what ends up happening is regular human beings, they play this game of perfect defense, no offense. and they lose. It's guaranteed loss. And all I'm suggesting is play defense, but also stop focusing so much on it. Focus on scoring the ball. Like, for example, we talked about, we were just use an example, but during that time of you losing your closer and all that stuff happening, I didn't have to tell you to then go back and clean up your business. You just naturally did it. I didn't have to sit here and tell you, yo, go clean up your business. That's happening for you guys instinctually, automatically. What isn't happening for a lot of you guys is having this relentless drive to focus on scoring the ball. And then you don't make enough points. And then you lose. So
can you give an example of defense, Joel? Give an example of
defense would be like you have 5 clients. You lost 1. Now you're freaking out. So you stop selling, you stop prospecting, you stop setting appointments. And all you do is focus on trying to make your 5 clients happy. But now you're stuck there. And you tell yourself, oh, once I finish fixing everything, then I'll go back to prospect. It's this idea of like, I'll give you an example with bigger companies. Has Apple ever had products that they ship out that don't work? Of course. Apple stores have sold a defective product. There's no doubt about it. Car companies, where there's massive risk, have shipped out defective products. That doesn't mean that they stop all sales. When a Toyota vehicle gets recalled, they don't just shut down Toyota. They don't just say, okay, we're going to stop forever now until we fix this. No, they put a pause on that production, but then they continue to sell. So I think a lot of you guys just shut down your doors. A lot of you guys completely stop selling. And it's like, okay, well, let's say you own a restaurant and you mess up let's say the food is amazing. Okay. So the food is amazing across the board every single time. But one time a customer complained because of a miscommunication. Maybe their reservation was for 8 and the person at the front desk the hostess accidentally put it down for 7. So when they arrived at 8, it's like, you don't have a reservation. It had nothing to do with the quality of the food. It had nothing to do with you. It would just have to do with natural ebbs and flows of business. What most people do in that example is, assuming now that we're talking about marketing agencies, is you have one bad customer complaining and then you say, okay, no one else can eat here. We're shutting down the restaurant. We are closing down the restaurant. That's what happens. And it's extreme. That's a much more realistic example. And how extreme would it be if a restaurant shut down every single time there was a client issue? No, that's not what happened. They continue to serve all the other customers. So you guys need to keep focusing on offense and fuck your defense. And I only say, you have to keep in mind, guys, the only reason I say set and close appointments is not because and you guys might be wondering, why don't I say focus on client results? It's because that is already there. I don't need you guys to focus on that. So when I say fuck your defense, I don't really mean don't do defense. I just mean I need you to stop giving so much energy to it. And the only way that I can do that is by going extreme and literally cursing at your defense. So Sergio, what do you think?
I fully agree. Another hidden way in which defense tends to show up, and this one is one that no one talks about all that much, but defense also creeps up, or focusing too much on defense creeps up in the matter of wanting things to be perfect before you take the shot. It's like, to use a basketball analogy, imagine you have a wide open 3 and you could potentially make the shot, but you like dribble yourself into defense like Alec would do because you're afraid that you might miss the shot. And the reason I'm bringing this up around waiting for things to be perfect as a matter of also defense, someone asked me the other day, guys, they said, why don't you read books? And I want to make it clear. All right. I'm not like anti-Tai Lopez. I'm not anti-reading books, but I've actually never been that big of a book reader. I've read a handful of books in my life. And the reason I'm not a big book reader, think of it like this. So what's the point of a book? The point of a book is to gain the same point of a course, right? You're looking to gain knowledge, gain expertise on something. So then you can go and do it, right? Ideally. But what I have found is action shortcuts that entire process. Anything that I can learn from a book and just sit there defensively and try to master things and get things so buttoned up, anything I can learn from a book, I can also learn through experience. It's because I've changed my relationship with failure. I see failure as just nothing more than feedback. And so my mind is in constant offense mode. Even if it means I'm going to mess up, I'm not afraid to take the shot. I'm not waiting for perfection to surface, because it'll never surface. Guys, perfection is an illusion. There's never been a perfect moment in business at all. There's never been a perfect situation in business at all. There's never been a perfect client. There's never been perfect results. It'll never happen. And so let go of this belief, this identity that you have to have the best thing in the world before you can fully roll it out. Or to use the basketball analogy, you have to have the best shot in the world before you take it. It's never going to be the best shot. Just take the open one and take as many as possible.
Sergio, let's do one more before we transition to the surprise in the raffle. I'd love to flip it on you though. What is a lesson that you believe everyone should learn mindset wise to get to 7 figures?
All right, this is not going to be super sexy though, okay? So needs versus wants. You guys know, I at this point, I've had hundreds of one-on-ones and maybe thousands at this point. And guys, I could tell within the first 10 to 15 minutes of that initial one-on-one whether or not this person's going to make it. And I'll give them the radical feedback. And you could find it's hidden in their language. Oh, I want to do this. I want this. I would love this. And let me tell you guys something that's so true that you're not going to want to hear. You don't get in life what you want. You get what you must have. You get what you need. You get what you need. There's a complete difference between having a desire. I want to be able to build a marketing agency, scale it to 100K per month and travel the world and have time and location. Yeah, you could want that, but it doesn't mean you get it. It does not mean you're going to get it. The moment you change your focus from I want this to I need this and I refuse to move forward until I get this. I'm putting a stake in the ground and I've made a decision. I've cut off all other options. I'm going to get it independent of what's in front of me. I'm going to run over it. I'm going to take it. That's when you start getting it. It's when you demand it. It's when you demand it. That's when the world starts rewarding you because you've made that decision that this is yours. Because again, humans, we get what we must have. We don't get what we want. So it's not like the sexiest thing in the world, but it's one of the staples I've lived by. Whenever I feel like I'm stagnant, whenever I feel like I want to level up, I change my belief from I want to I need this. You know, Joel and I had a conversation. I called Joel last night and we were talking. And I was like, dude, doesn't it feel like we need to grow? Like, because it happens at every level. You go through a phase. I guarantee you when Joel and I were scaling our agency, I freaking guarantee you there was a desire, like a need. I need this. And that's the reason why it succeeded, both of our companies. There was a need. There was like a fire in our ass, an urgency to make it happen. Even if you weren't the most talented, even if you aren't the most skilled, even if you didn't have the best resources, even if you didn't have the most connections, when you have that need, you figure it out. You just figure it out. And I know, because Joel and I used to talk a lot back when we were scaling our agencies, there was definitely a need on both of our ends. And then in life, what happens, guys, is it goes through seasons. And for some of you guys who've been stagnant at like the 10K a month mark, even the 30K a month mark, or it doesn't matter what, if you've been stagnant at any revenue level, you have to have this conversation with yourself. Have you gotten comfortable and now you just want to hit the next level opposed to needing to hit the next level? You have to have that real conversation with yourself. You guys know when I scaled the agency, we were stuck at like 200K a month for like maybe like 3 months, which for me was a lot because I was used to growing every single month. That was like in a bad way. My identity was like connected with it. If I didn't grow, it felt off. And for 3 months, I was just at 200K for 3 months. And then I had to have that conversation with myself. I literally looked at myself in the mirror. I'll never forget. I got out the shower. I wiped the mirror and I like made a big hole. I just saw only my face. And I saw my face almost like a little boy who was like telling myself, oh, I want candy, opposed to a man who says, I need this and I'm going to get it. And the moment I made that decision to transition away from a want into a need, we started growing. And so Joel and I had this conversation last night around like, what's going on with us? Like, is it just, because this happens at every level, guys. This is not like, we're no different. It happens at every level. The reason we could speak so confidently about our situations and the reason that we could confidently coach you guys, because we've been there, done that, and we're still in the trenches. Like some of these other coaches, not bashing anyone, but they're not actively doing it. So it's different when they communicate with you. We're still doing it. We still go through the same challenges, maybe it's at a different level, but we still go through the same mental hurdles, the same downfalls, the same issues. We still deal with the same ad account stuff, the same sales stuff, the same marketing issues. It still happens. And so I had to have this honest conversation with myself. Joel, after that call, my phone died. Bro, I just sat in silence for like 5 minutes. I'm like trying to figure out, is it like us? So it goes to show that I'm still willing to have that conversation with myself around what's a need versus a want. Because again, you don't get what you want in life. You get what you must have. You get what you put that stake in the ground and you've made a decision, you're cutting off all other options. There's nothing in your way. You're moving forward. It doesn't matter. That's when you get it. And some of you guys need to have that conversation with yourself immediately after this call. Are you just telling yourself you want to build this business, or have you made a decision and you must have it? Because everyone wants to play the game of business. Everyone wants to play the game of business, but you have to take it serious. And so if you find yourself stagnant from a revenue standpoint, it's not about hitting 100K per month, guys, as much as it's about progress. If you find yourself stagnant, there's a reason why. But the reason I wanted to share this with you guys, that 20 to like 80K per month range inside of an agency, you are in effect equivalent to the middle class. And the problem with being in the middle class is that you're not rich, you're not poor. You're comfortable. It's actually better to be a broke agency owner than someone who's in the middle class. And I'll tell you why. A broke agency owner can't afford a simple lifestyle. Someone who's doing 3K a month with their agency can't afford even basic means, basic life expenses. And so they have this fire to figure it out because their back is pushed against the wall. They have no choice. But someone who just gets to the point where they're making 30K a month, maybe they could pay themselves 5K a month. They feel a little bit more comfortable, but that comfortability is an illusion. It's an illusion because the middle class dies faster than anything else. You guys know the middle class is shrinking. It's either you've made it in your agency or you haven't. In the same way, you either have money or you don't. And so my fear is that those of you who've been playing I want game as opposed to I must have game, a year from now, you're going to look back and unfortunately have to go back to a 9-to-5 5 if you don't take this game serious. And that's just me being real. And the beautiful thing about it is you only have to play that I must have game for a short period of time. It doesn't have to be forever. But while the discipline and the motivation is there, while you have that fuel in the fire, that's when you should try to play hard. This is why you guys have always heard me say an agency must be scaled fast. It must be scaled fast. You have to go fast with it. Your motivation is fleeting. Your desire, your drive is fleeting because Marquez, 6 months ago when I talked to you, you had that need and that's why you got to the next level. But if you didn't capitalize on that need during that short window of opportunity, then dude, you're just missing it. Have these honest conversations with yourselves, guys. Have it, because the future you will thank you for it. Because a year from now, you don't want to look yourself in the mirror and say, fuck, I got to figure this thing out, because a year from now it might be too late.
I think it really applies even at our level. Like yesterday I did a podcast and I told him about the $1 billion goal by 40. And I even said to him, I was like, you know what, if we don't hit it, that's okay. At least I went for it. But that's pretty much guaranteed not to happen then.
It's guaranteed not to hit it. Yeah.
Damn. I should tell him to take that podcast down. Get that. See, he laughs at my jokes.
Yeah. No, it's because it's funny. It's a funny situation. But, and guys, the reason this is resonating,
take that shit down.
The reason this is resonating with you guys is because you guys know it's real. It's speaking to a lot of like the inner you. You guys know, some of you guys may not have been taking this serious, or you've had moments of you taking it serious and that's it. And then you hit this next level. It's like, okay, cool, I'm good here. But do you guys know what 10K a month in an agency is? Absolutely nothing. 20K a month in an agency is absolutely nothing. After expenses, after taxes, after paying yourself a little bit, you're left with nothing. And so your business is built on a rocky foundation. And so what that means is anyone can come in, and we already know that the market sophistication is at an all-time high. The level of competition is at an all-time high. So anyone can come in and swoop you out of business. And what happens then? If you did this correctly, you don't have a backup plan, do you? So what then?
Say that again.
Nah, bro. It's not going to hit the same. It's not going to hit the same.
I'll say it for you. If you did this correctly, you shouldn't have a backup plan.
If you did this correctly, you don't have a backup plan, do you? So what's next? It means it's a moment of introspection and a moment of having that radical, honest conversation with yourself, and then taking the action necessary to win. I was having a conversation, I don't know, maybe like 2 months back with a friend of mine. He used to be a client in the agency. He runs like a multi-9-figure company. And we were talking about like investment strategies and all this stuff a couple months back. And keep in mind, this guy is the CEO of a multi-9-figure company, like $250 million. And he started off the conversation by saying, Sergio, you're not broke enough.